Coming to you from Aerospark Windhoek, greetings to our global audience and welcome to the penultimate edition of Primetime News. I'm Michael Madimba. We commence this evening's bulletin with corporate governance matters. The now defunct Ministry of Public Enterprises, or the Transnamib Board, should consider instituting disciplinary action against employees and executives who fail to meet their performance indicators. Edward Mumbu Jr. compiled this investigative piece.
The recommendation is contained in a leaked dossier compiled by audit firm Ernst & Young. The forensic report lays bare a myriad of irregularities at the rail entity, ranging from ineffective and inadequate utility costs to dodgy contracts and manipulated lease agreements. Last year, the Namibia Press Agency reported that overcompensation of non-performing executives was one of the major issues at the broke entity. Each executive is believed to be taking home no less than 100,000 Namibian dollars in monthly salaries, a vehicle allowance of 15,000 Namibian dollars, and 6,000 Namibian dollars in fuel allowance. The executives were also paid performance bonuses. This is despite the fact that there is no performance management system in place. Now Ernst & Young wants the Transnamib Board to go after these executives. The recommendation said the Ministry of Public Enterprises and/or the board should consider recovering the ostensibly irregular and unauthorized payment of performance bonuses from the relevant beneficiaries. The selective implementation of the company's performance management policy has also been questioned. Earlier this year, the report was submitted to former Public Enterprises Minister Leon Jooste for input after it was supposed to head to the National Anti-Graft Body for possible criminal prosecutions. Now defunct, the Ministry of Public Enterprises resorts under the Finance Ministry as a mere directorate.
To northeast Namibia. Despite its perennial free-flowing rivers and fertile grounds, the Zambezi region is currently without a single green scheme. This, according to members of the National Council.
The National Council Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environment and Natural Resources made the discovery during the recent oversight visits on rural water supply. Other areas the committee concentrated on were community-based conservancies and open mining pits. The committee noted that the Zambezi governor, Lawrence Sampofu, informed the parliamentarians that the region was blessed with adequate water resources surrounded by rivers. They, however, found there was no single irrigation project. The last functioning green scheme was the Kalimbeza Rice Project, which is now a white elephant. This, the committee says, has left Sampofu reeling. It could only cite the Kalimbeza Rice Project that was poorly funded and appealed for more budgetary allocation on agricultural activities in the region. Back in 2020, government pumped 7.1 million Namibian dollars into the rice project, which was on the verge of collapse at the time. Despite the cash injection, the project was projected to make only 500,000 as profit.
Now, the parliamentary hearings on the abortion debate continue to solicit mixed opinions, with a Rundu-based businesswoman Selma Agostino saying abortion is going to cost Namibia economically if it is legalized. Sawi Al-Siku compiled this report.
Agostino's views came following the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Gender Equality, Social Development and Family Affairs public hearings on 3 petitions received by the National Assembly with regard to the legalization of abortion in Namibia. The hearing, which were conducted in the Zambezi, Ohangwena and Kavango regions, started on the 31st of May and ended today. They will deliberate on whether the current Abortion and Sterilization Act No. 2 of 1975 should be reformed. Agostino, who is against legalizing abortion, asked if government can take care of the impact of abortion if currently it cannot provide enough contraceptives in healthcare institutions. She further wanted to know if women will receive counseling after they have abortions and who will pay for it. She said legalizing abortion means taxpayers will have to pay for the abortion process in the country's state hospitals and for counseling.
On to neighboring South Africa. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa this afternoon confirmed a robbery at one of his properties, but denied claims leveled by a former spy chief that he had kidnapped and bribed the thieves. Lydia Pitiri reports.
Former intelligence boss Arthur Fraser late Wednesday accused the president of organizing the kidnapping, questioning, and bribery of thieves who stole $4 million from his farm north of Johannesburg. His office in a statement said President Ramaphosa is clear that there is no basis for the claims of criminal conduct that have been made against him. But the presidency confirmed that a robbery took place around the 9th of February 2020, in which money from a wildlife sale was stolen. At the time, Ramaphosa was attending an African Union summit in Ethiopia. The statement said, on being advised on the robbery, President Ramaphosa reported the incident to the head of the Presidential Protection Unit of the South African Police Services for investigation. After a career in intelligence, Fraser became chief of the country's prisons.
When we return, Nigeria gives the nod on gas pipeline deal via Morocco. The Primetime B segment dissects everything business, and Continental Business News headlines this segment tonight. Nigeria's government has directed its state-owned oil company, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, to implement a deal on a gas pipeline to Europe through Morocco. Let's get the details from this report by Lydia Pitiri.
Africa's gas resources are increasingly in the spotlight as the European Union looks to wean itself off Russian supplies following the invasion of Ukraine in February. Approval of a memorandum of understanding on the gas project with West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS was given after a cabinet meeting. Nigeria's petroleum minister, Timipe Silva, told reporters in Abuja late Wednesday. Nigeria is Africa's top oil producer and a major supplier of gas and liquefied natural gas. The minister said this gas line will take gas to 15 West African countries and to Morocco, and through Morocco to Spain and to Europe. He added the project was in the design phase and details including cost and funding were still being worked out.
Staying with the energy sector, major oil producers led by Saudi Arabia and Russia held talks earlier today on whether to adjust output, hard on the heels of an EU ban on Russian oil imports. Salima Shimwefeleni Masipa reports.
Analysts had expected the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries producers to likely stick to their policy of only increasing output modestly as they have done since May 2021. However, a Wall Street Journal report on Monday said that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries was considering suspending Russia from the output deal has shown doubts. Stefan Brannock, an analyst at PVM Energy, said such a move would effectively bring a premature end to the group's supply agreement and pave the way for an unrestricted increase in output. The 13 members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, chaired by Saudi Arabia, and their 10 partners led by Russia, drastically slashed output in 2020 as demand slumped because of the coronavirus pandemic and the worldwide lockdowns. They have increased output modestly to the tune of around 400,000 barrels per day each month since last year, resisting pressure by top consumers including the United States of America to open the taps wider. The expectation was that output would increase by another 432,000 barrels per day in July. Analyst Carsten Fritsch of Commerzbank said, so far the market has been assuming that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries would raise the planned production volume. Russia is still being included in this. Talks by video conference begin at the technical level at 1200 hours GMT at the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries headquarters in Vienna before moving into a preliminary session. The European Union leaders agreed on Monday to ban more than 2/3 of Russian oil exports as part of a sixth package of sanctions on Moscow over its offensive in Ukraine.
We will bring you updates on this developing story. Stay tuned for the sports news, but up first, your economics roundup and the weather forecast. In our sports segment this evening, we commence with women's football. The Namibia Football Association officially launched its first ever strategic plan for women football in the country on Wednesday. The 4-year strategic plan was launched by the Acting Director of Sport, Irvin Javera, on behalf of the Minister of Sport, Youth and National Service, Agnes Shongariro, and it seeks to carve a new path for the development of women's football. Speaking at the launch in Windhoek, Chairperson of the FIFA Normalization Committee, Bizi Uirap, said the strategic plan will serve as a guide for the NFA and the stakeholders in women's football on how to develop women's football through 5 pillars in the next 4 years. On to the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich Chief Executive Officer Oliver Kahn is ruling out having investors or even states buy into the club. Oligarchs will definitely not play a role with us. They never have and they never will. Kahn told today's edition of the local business publication. And oligarch is not really the right word to describe what is happening in the world of football. It is states who have shares in clubs, such as Saudi Arabia and Newcastle, or Qatar at Paris Saint-Germain. Bayern are not only up against oligarchs, but even against world countries, Kahn said. Stand by for your sports roundup. That's all the news we had for you this evening. Thanks for watching. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe, like, share and press the notifications bell to stay abreast with local and global happenings. Catch us tomorrow for the week's last edition of Primetime News. From myself, Michael Madimba, and the entire production crew, it's good night.